friends. Welcome in. I'm so excited to share with you today a lunch break Vata pacifying restorative class. So I know that perhaps if you only have a little bit of time for practice, the tendency might be more to want to move and get the blood circulating and get a little active, particularly if you are predominantly sitting still during the day. Um, but I would encourage you to check out this practice if you are feeling or have recently felt kind of spacey, spread thin, a little bit distracted. Those are all kind of symptoms that can arise when Vata is a little bit out of whack. And you can learn a little bit more about Vata during the practice. It's one of the Ayurvedic doshas. Since we will be doing restorative style practice today, I really recommend grabbing all of the things, some extra pillows, bolsters, blocks, even a chair, or if you're close to a wall, that'd be great. Or I have actually a bed in my kiddo's room here that's going to help support the practice at some point today. So anything like that will work great. And you can pause here if you'd like to gather what you need, and I'll meet you on the mat in a comfortable seat when you're ready. Okay. We'll keep it pretty low to the ground here today, which will also be nourishing for the Vata dosha. When you're ready, I really recommend that you prop up your seat so the hips are higher than the knees, could be crisscross here or seated back towards your heels. Make sure that you're warm enough. It's a really actually hot, warm spring day where I am, but if you are in a cooler place, you might even want to grab some blankets. Make sure you're really nourishing your temperature to stay warm. And then either draw your gaze down toward the earth, let the muscles around your eyes get really soft, or perhaps close them down completely. In Ayurvedic medicine, Vata is the dosha that is ruled by the two elements of air and ether. And it's a really beautiful, of the tridosha, it's really um, the center of our creativity, our movement of change. Um, but it's also the most likely to get a little out of whack, out of balance. And if it gets too kind of aggravated or deranged, or some of the words you might hear in that medicine lineage, it can really create a feeling of being like untethered, right? So that could look like a little bit of anxiety or a lot of anxiety. It could look like restless in your sleep, maybe even insomnia. Dryness in your body, in your life, like a restlessness or fear, right? Any of those things could be popping up if Vata just needs a little bit of extra nourishment. So in this class, we're going to work with some grounding, warming, nourishing postures and breath to really just calm and contain our perhaps a little scattered, but our sacred energy, working to bring that. So our practice today is all about grounding and gathering. So that which feels spread out, dispersed, we want to think about gathering it back in and bringing it home and grounding. Feel the support that's beneath you. You can let the earth rise up to meet you. Connecting with the element of earth is very grounding, very supportive for this energy center. Mm. These qualities of air and ether that can lead us to great inspiration can also lead to the feeling of being scattered or distracted. So I invite you to give permission for this practice to ground you, to root you. Inhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll extend the exhale a bit longer. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is a parasympathetic breath, so typically safe for all, but always welcome to visualize. So we'll continue that count, inviting the exhale to be just a little bit longer than the inhale, very soothing for PNS. So it's an inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and an exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take a few more breaths before we settle into the first posture. In the scheme of restorative class, even breath work can seem a little bit more active than the postures themselves. So, Brahmari Pranayam, you are welcome to plug your ears. And if you'd like, you can do this from a seat. Optional to do Shanmukhi Mudra if for those that are familiar with it and you want to close the gates. Otherwise, simply just plugging your ears is just fine and closing down the windows of your eyes. Again, this is another one meant to soothe parasympathetic, so soothing, nourishing for the nerves, really grounding. But you're so welcome to simply visualize it rather than participating if it's not appropriate for any reason. So this one looks like an inhale through the nose and an exhale through the nose, but on the exhale, we'll hum. So mouth stays closed. It makes the buzz of a bee, which is why you hear this one often called the bee's breath or the bumblebee's breath. So let's take 3 rounds. Your pace might be a little slower or faster than mine. That's just fine. But we'll start together with an inhale and then exhale. 2 more rounds. And last one. Gently release your hands from the mudra or from that earplug. And let's slowly get set up for our first shape. We'll head toward a supported child's pose. So a lot of you may have a particular preference for the way you like to set that up. I will show one way that I find quite nourishing, which is to take one block to the tallest setting and another block to the lower setting and make a ramp with the bolster. You might also want to just hug around the bolster flat to the earth. You can bring your blanket in underneath your knees. If you're on a harder surface or would like a little more support, your knees can be wide or a bit closer together. And then once you're settled, go ahead and hug around your bolster and rest down to one ear. I will not rest to one ear just so you can hear through the mic, but you can settle down to one ear. I'll let you know when we're about halfway through. You can allow your heart to rest and let your breath slow down and soften. This shape really supports us in enclosing or containing our energy, which is just perfect for Vata. So Vata tends to want to disperse our energy or spread out, dissipate, right? Get too big, take on too much. Let a long exhale nourish your nervous system. So you might come back to that exhale that's a little bit longer than your inhale. If anyone's got weighted blankets or sandbags at home, a nice addition can be to take one onto your low back, especially for pacifying Vata. In general, it's fabulous for restorative class, but particularly if you're looking to really pacify a little bit of erratic Vata in the system. We're about halfway through. If you're resting to one ear or the other, perhaps you want to swap to the other side. Remember, the exhale can extend out a little bit longer than your inhale, allowing simple shifts like the length of your breath to help you gather back in, recollect those parts of you that might be spreading out. You can, without hurrying, start to loosen that threading of your forearms beneath the bolster and press yourself up, no rush, to come on back toward your heels. You'll need all of the supplies and props for this next form. There's so many different variations with where we're heading next. So, um, taking on pigeon, or in yin, we call it swan, but in a really restorative way. So, for those of you, again, if you know where you like to go with this, you're welcome to come right in. If leaning forward with one leg tucked under. Remember, we're going to be propped up, right? If that's just no way, no how happening in your body, I would welcome you to take this supine variation where we'll start on the right side. Right ankle can be atop the left thigh. You could even rest down here to the earth, or you could prop your left foot up on a block or a bolster, right? So for those that are taking the belly down variation, it's right leg forward. And we want to take a bolster, and I'm going to actually sit right up onto this bolster so that it's supporting my right hip and I can come to snuggle down around it. And then I'd like to also place a block at the front of my mat to rest my forehead on. So forearms might support a little bit of the weight, but we don't want the shoulders working too hard. And I can rest my forehead so that my cervical spine is really nice and neutral, right? No strain, no flexion or extension, hopefully, ideally, or if there is, it's very, very little for the neck. And you can cushion your back knee if there's any discomfort there or the top of your foot. There is, no matter how you slice it with this shape, there is a little bit of edge, right? It's not the most restorative of restorative shapes, but it's so good to get into the lower third of the body, which is kind of the seat of Vata, well, specifically the colon, but really the lower third of our body is kind of all the house, the home of Vata. So again, perhaps you tap into that exhale that's a little bit longer than the inhale. And again, if you have sandbags or weighted blankets, you could add it onto your left leg, perhaps, or across your low back. Make sure you're really warm enough. Blankets, your setting is cozy and sweet. Vata needs to soften rough edges, so sweetness, oiliness to counter that dryness, weight, stillness, structure, and just slowing everything way down is such a gift for Vata. Time to gather and ground and bring the pieces back to center. Okay, so in the next 2 or 3 breaths, if you're in the belly down, the face down variation, you're walking on your palms. If you're resting onto your back, you can simply untangle your legs and reset slowly for the second side. Those lifting toward the left leg, you can land your right knee on back to meet your left. Bolster should hopefully be okay right where it's at. And then go ahead and invite your left knee forward, bent at a really deep angle. Remember, the bolster should be right underneath you, so it's supporting the top of your, well, that's quite nice actually. Put my foot underneath my weighted meditation cushion. That's quite nice. I think I'll leave it there. So the right hip lies across the bolster. You can snuggle around it, take a block in for the weight of your head if you'd like. We're settling in for the second side. And as you rest into this shape, once again, you can just imagine that your breath, we're able to massage your outer hips. Again, hips and pelvis, one of the major landmarks in our body. Vata, this hip opener can support us in really nourishing this center and encouraging us to ground as we're so low down to the earth. Any of those extra pieces in that might support you in warming or grounding or nourishing. All of those qualities supporting to counter the cold and dry and mobile nature of Vata. Remember to invite yourself completely down into the support of the earth, and at the same time, invite that earth stability and support up into your body system. So your body and earth moving toward one another. Create this heavy, stable shape. And in the next 2 or 3 breaths, again, just think of yourself like melting out of the shape. No scurrying, no hurrying, being erratic, very smooth and graceful movements. For those that are up high, you can fall toward your left hip and invite your right leg around and meet the left. Um, for those that are down on the earth, you can roll to one side and press up as I demonstrate our next shape. So I'll be pulling right in close to the bed in a moment here, but for those that you don't have a wall space near or a chair, you can just take a bolster or some pillows, lie back, and slide that underneath your low back. So it's a very, very, very subtle inversion. Think supported bridge, but on something so soft, right? And you can keep your feet rooted into the earth. So that can work great. For those that do have a chair, or if you have tons of bolsters and you want to create a little bridge for your legs, that's great. Otherwise, those working with a chair, or I'm going to take my legs up onto this bed and rest back. You can bring your bum right up to the wall. You may or may not set my timer up here so I don't fall asleep and leave you there all day. You may or may not want to bring a bolster or pillow in under your hip still, but really important that your legs feel very supported and stable. So this is a great setup for me because I really, um, there's no effort required, no effort, no striving. This is what Vata needs, like rest. Vata gets very tired. It's so spread out, right? So tools and tips, if you've got that weighted blanket can be great across the low belly. Maybe an eye pillow if you've got one there. Sandbags or weighted blankets across the shoulders can be quite nice. And remember that simple tool of extending your exhales just a smidge longer than your inhales. It's just really a memo to your nervous system like, hey, come back. Let me gather at center. Let me really be here now in my body, in my Anamaya kosha, right? My food body, that earth element, the stable, the steady, coming back home from what can feel a little bit like outer space when Vata is too accumulated. And so, for those of you that are feeling so nourished and grounded where you are, since this is restorative practice, you're so welcome to stay right where you are. If you would prefer to slide your way, shimmy your way, wiggle your way into a more traditional Shavasana, you also have that invitation. You can slide any bolsters or pillows out from underneath you, perhaps roll to one side if you're right up against the wall. And again, without too much fuss, try not to be too erratic in your movement, like a little bit of a glide. You can come back toward your Shavasana and allow your legs to get really heavy and the big toe edges to open. If you've got a block handy, I recommend taking it to low belly, or if you've got a nice heavy blanket, like again, a weighted blanket or sandbag, to low belly across your hips or across your upper thighs, seat of Vata. Traditionally, our Shavasana has palms open to the sky, but if you're open to trying something a little different flavor today, you could rest your palms facing down. Simply give Vata all the permission to ground and rest in to your final shape. I do like to give a seated meditation as an option to land and integrate into your practice. However, if pacifying Vata is really something your body requires today, then Shavasana is going to be the best fit for today's practice. Allow yourself, whatever or wherever you choose to be, allow yourself to do nothing. Let stillness itself be the medicine. This is a great challenge often when Vata's out of whack. It can be very difficult to be still. Stillness is essential for Vata balance. And when we really slow down enough to listen, we can nourish that inner reserve. Again, that gathering of our resources, really just bringing it back to center. Ayurveda teaches us that routine and rest, so stability, rhythm, rejuvenation are the balm for Vata. Whenever life feels too fast, too scattered, too much, you feel you're in the chaos. This is a strong note, little message for you from Vata directly to your system. I invite you for these last few breaths to simply notice how stillness feels. And then, without hurry, transition toward one side. You might preface that with some very gentle movements. Again, keeping any movement very slow, very smooth, like a glide. And as you land to one side, press yourself up toward a last seat where we can feel our Vata pacifying restorative practice for the day. Come on up toward a seat. Let's bring palms together and create a little bit of warmth there, but find a rhythm. Make sure you're really in a rhythm. And then bring your hands either right to your hips or atop your thighs, and just sending in that nourishing warmth, grounding, gathering, drawing your energy right in to the center of you. And let's inhale the arms out wide, gathering anything that has spread out, spread too thin. Draw your palms together right into heart center, and you can rest your palms face down. Perhaps you want to take a bow of your head, thank yourself as you direct your awareness inward for taking time out of your day for this nourishing, grounding, steadying, gathering practice. Thank you so much for joining today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and enjoy a nice, stable rhythm with a rootedness to the rest of your day. I hope to see you back soon. Thanks. Bye bye.